BetUS.com is back for our 20th year NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited about this one here because we are about a few days away from the opening kickoff of the 2025 NFL season, and we are here. It is stacked. This is the Snake Sports Talk Show, wherever and however you may be watching and listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. Chase, my good man, finally back from it, man. We are days away.
I'm excited for it, and I cannot wait. It's been a long time coming, and it seems like the football season flies by, and then it takes forever to get here, and it sucks. I hate it.
Seriously does. And, you know, like, one of my big things is, like, we know roster cuts were happening this week, and everybody was going to end up getting claimed up on waivers.
Yep.
Listen, I got to say, Cleveland's been busy. I mean, amongst them and a couple other teams that have also been busy with some of their roster builds, they've definitely been picking some people up. So it's going to be interesting. But we do have a very good special guest, former first round, 6th overall pick in 1994, played with the Sixers and the Raptors and played internationally. Sharone Wright is going to be joining us here up and on the program. But I do want to start with this because I truthfully think that lots of things just happen for a reason. And so we just ended up getting the deal where obviously Trey Hendrickson and Terry McLaurin, they are now officially paid. Everybody can finally breathe now. So let's start with Terry McLaurin first. So my big thing is, I've said it to everybody, this situation was solvable because number one, Washington could not afford to have him leave the building. That would just be outrageous and crazy. But my big thing is with Terry McLaurin and what he is about. He's gone through hell and back with different ownership, with different GMs, different coaches, and different quarterbacks. To me, Terry McLaurin is the ideal adult in the room in an organization full of turmoil. You could not afford to have him leave the room. And in fact, a 3rd round pick for a wide receiver who is absolutely played up more to his standards. So that's the one thing I give Terry McLaurin credit for. So even if he got $32 million per year, it's well worth it. You know, you get 3 years, $96 million. I like the deal. I'm not opposed to this. It worked out. Now they can go back up at camp, and they'll be ready by week 1. And by the way, Chase is going to love this because we are going to be breaking down my division winners and our playoff teams. This is now the finalized, revised edition of this because now I could be okay with Washington going into the playoffs. Jaden Daniels, he's going to have another good season on his belt. I don't think he'll repeat like last year. He'll probably win a playoff game, but I think Washington, they're walking into this thing looking just fine. And then you got Trey Hendrickson. Here's the deal. I said this before and I'll say it again. Trey Hendrickson is the modern day Mark Gastineau. And the only reason of it is he just goes and gives you sacks, but cannot end up defending up and on the run. What does Cincinnati do? They relieved the issue and gave him a pay raise up to $30 million. So they're saying, listen, We can't give you a long-term deal, but somebody will. But in the meantime, here's a pay raise to say thank you for getting 17 and a half sacks. I mean, to me, Cincinnati's just cheap. Okay, that's the whole point of this whole thing with Trey Hendrickson. So again, I can understand what both sides are getting. Trey Hendrickson wanted a paid bump up. Now, eventually, he's going to get the guaranteed money in a long-term deal somewhere else. But in the meantime of the season, they're going to end up giving him a pay raise. They won't give him a contract. They'll let him go on the market, and that'll be the end of that. So Cincinnati now can feel well rested. You can now go into the season. I don't know if Cincinnati can honestly make the playoffs. It's going to be hard with that kind of turmoil in the organization. But I do think that Joe Burrow is on a mission. And if Cincinnati wasn't willing to end up giving him all that he wanted, retaining his receivers, getting his pass rush, or at least getting a competent defense or a competent defensive coordinator, then Cincinnati would have actually never had this problem if they would have gotten that. But Cincinnati, cheap, frugal organization, that's usually where a lot of problems come up. So deals are done. Around the corner, after we end up having our interview up from here, we'll talk about the Micah Parsons situation up in Dallas. But I do want to shift over to this. So joining us here, I love this, where players who give their production in the league, but yet have the ability to contribute more inside the league is something special and worth talking about, especially when you're trying to build the future talent. And talking about it, because I've been critical about the Sixers for the last few years now. And now, getting a chance to kind of get a look on the inside, I'm really excited about this one. So joining us, former NBA forward center Sharone Wright joins us here on the program. So Sharone, listen, for years for the 76ers, in the last couple of years, I mean, they've been way up and down. I mean, the whole Joel Embiid injuries, the Ben Simmons situation, and then not to mention trying to find the competent coach who just looks, feels, and coaches like Philly. I mean, right. Nobody knows Philly better than Philly fans, okay? Because it's a great culture. I've never been there, but I do have a lot of my colleagues who live there, and they say, Jake, you got to come. Get a Philly cheesesteak, come to a game. You got to experience how tough and gritty we are.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you've experienced this organization. And when I think very critically about the Sixers, I want Joel Embiid to just have a healthy season, because when he does, he's a very good defensive player. I would say right flat out, top 5, definitely looking good. But it's just about the consistency. And I love Tyrese Maxey, and I love, McCann. I mean, what's it got to take in order to build this consistency here in this organization?
I think, what's up, guys? I'm happy to be here. I just think it's been he hasn't had a whole lot of time to heal. I think when we first started the trust the process situation, when we had that, and he was coming from Kansas, and Joel had a lot of injuries. He had a really, really instructive injury where he had to be out. But it gave him a chance to work on his skill set. Him being out a whole year and a little bit of a change, it made him understand that, okay, I'm going to have to, when I do play, then it's going to have to be really cool for us. So, and then now, the knee has been really bad. And we haven't had any consistency with it. That's what it is. It's not that he doesn't want to play. He loves the game. I mean, and so, but, as a player, if you're not healthy, there's just nothing you can do. It doesn't matter who's online talking about it or whatever, the average fan. But if you're not healthy, it's going to be a problem. So sometimes you need time to do it. It takes, when you play 82 games plus playoffs, plus a little bit of preseason, that's almost 100 games. It's hard on your body. I'm not saying that, when he doesn't play well, it's okay. I'm just saying that sometimes, guys hit a bump, hit a slide, and he's hit a slide, and he's got to recoup from that.
It's interesting, Sharone, when I think about it. So talk to me about this draft pick, because this kid's got a lot of upside. I think this kid could really be the balancer amongst what the Sixers are trying to do. Because I could see this, that when they are on, they can attack the perimeter. They can give you really good backcourt defense. And at the same time, you needed a wing to defend, right? And then even give you those shots that you need. Talk to me about this draft pick, because I even talked to Matt Babcock not too long ago, NBA draft analyst, and he is very, very high, saying that the Sixers got a steal. This kid's going to be something else here for the future. What do you think about this kid and his skill set? And is this something he's going to be that middleman there that can really balance out this pendulum?
Well, Jake, I'm glad you asked, because did you see him in summer league? He absolutely.
Oh man, he looked nice.
and shout out to the Sixers staff, in terms of like the draft process. This kid is unbelievable. He's an NBA ready kid. VJ is. VJ's an NBA ready kid. He'll plug right in. I'm not saying he'll start, because Jared has played well. Jared played well for us last year. And then if we get Paul George to be the Paul George, I mean, you better watch out. If we get Paul George and we get Joel playing pretty well, I mean, it can be a really, really solid season. Definitely a playoff team. I think, the sky's the limit when you have that. But, I think it all depends on Paul George. But this kid, you saw that Baylor, man. He athletic. I love it because he's a two-way player. He can defend very well. Very good defender. I mean, side block shots. He plays the pick and roll pretty well. And we know how athletic he is. He can get his own shot. Now, we'll work on the little they will work on the little nuances in his game. But I love his game, and I thought that was a pretty good pick.
That looked nice. When I watched him up and in the summer league, I mean, just the touch, the fluidity that he had moving up and down the court. I think they really did get a steal, in my opinion. I think this was what Philadelphia really, really needed.
Yeah.
So I'd like to bring up a situation here, and I know this happened last year. Mm-hmm. So we know these two, they had to get up and on the same page. Where Ben Simmons is gone, Joel Embiid now needed to step up to be that leader and lead by example. Well, Tyrese Maxey, when he came out, and you got a 20-year-old kid calling you out, you're late for practices, you're kind of flaking here and there for some of this stuff. Now, again, I don't know what goes on in the locker rooms, but I do know this. You do mirror off to your peers how you carry yourself. I'm not saying Embiid ain't going through something mentally or none of that.
Yeah.
But you got to keep a consistency there.
Yeah.
Do you kind of see that with the two of them, they're going to get on the same page? They'll be much more fluid offensively and defensively, to where they can make the stops and even making the blocks and steals. Because these were two that I was like, Tyrese Maxey, I would love to have a leader if, when in doubt, Joel Embiid moves on. And this could be exactly the attitude the Philadelphia needed. What do you think of that situation? Because I was like, oh, man.
But Jake, you know how, like, sometimes you have a friend or your brother and they hold you accountable for something. They say, okay, you got to do this. I think that's what it was. And I think I'm not sure Joel was in a good space at that point. But Tyrese, and it didn't get messy. It just was like, okay, I'm one of the leaders too. And for us to be successful, you're going to have to come on time. You're going, so that's all that was. I've had guys in my career, man, I played with Vernon Maxwell, so I can tell you, but older guys that are veteran. In this case, he's not older, but some guys hold you accountable. Jeff Malone held me accountable. Okay, Scott Williams, I was with those guys. They held me accountable. That's just kind of what it is. I played with John Long and Earl Curitan. They big time vets. I mean, they just held me accountable. Me and Damon Stoudemire and Marcus Camby and that group. I mean, they just held us accountable. That's all it really is. Sometimes, and sometimes you lead by example. Sometimes you lead by your voice. Sometimes you lead by different things. So, but I would love to see a healthy Joel. Because if you get a healthy Joel, then everything kind of works out. And if you get a healthy Paul George, I mean that. And you got Jared, and then you have this new kid, and then all the other pieces that we have with the Sixers. It could be a very strong season, because in the East, it's going to be wide open this year, I feel like.
Yeah, I have a feeling of it too. And something that was really interesting, we watched it during the playoffs, and I even watched it all during the regular season. So to talking about this, Sharone, you've been in this league. You've played. It's funny. You came in 94. I wasn't born until, this is what actually will make you laugh. I was actually born the exact day in 1995, on March 19th, the exact day MJ played his first game back in Chicago.
From baseball.
Yep, from baseball into basketball. Because March 18th, that's when he made the deal saying, I'm back. Yeah. And then the next day, he comes in and plays, and it's like he never left.
You mean the Knicks game, the double nickel game?
Yep.
Oh, my God.
So I was born at 3 o'clock up under that day. But you came in at a time where basketball play was a little different. It was a little more physical. It was more of fighting for every chance, whether you were driving to the basket, whether you were either trying to create shots within the perimeter. The three-pointers were not as big as a necessity, but it did help, even when you got like the Steve Kerrs, the Derek Fishers, and a couple of them. So in this play of league, okay, we are starting to get much more offensive and much more skill-based. But you know what I liked all through the playoffs? I love that we're bringing back the hand check, because it makes NBA and basketball play a little more exciting when you can get a little physicality. But it's more skill set based. What did you make of that? Because the playoffs, I was like, I'm hooked. I'm like, this brings me back to borderline 90s, 2000s basketball. But the skill base, it's getting better and better as it goes.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're spot on, Jay, because and you know, I do believe that Adam Silver wants to make it a little bit more stronger league. I mean, you got too many threes being shot. The shot clock is just non-existent nowadays because they're jacking up shots right away. So it's a little bit horrible. But I think now you're seeing a lot of physicality now coming back. And that's the type of players you have too. So you have a Jalen Duren, and you have, you know, certain guys that are really, really punished guys. And to talk about what you talked about with hand checking, remember, I played against Derek Harper. Mm-hmm. I mean, guys like that just hand check you the whole time. These guards, you see all these dynamic guards, when I played, they never would have did all that because they couldn't get the ball up on half court. You had Muggsy Bogues. You had, you know, there's a lot of defensive guards that would just pound your ass the whole time. You were so tired by the time you got across the half court line, you were tired. You didn't have time to shoot a Steph Curry three, you know. So, but again, like I like the physicality part of it. I think it needs to be a mixture of it. Sometimes people come out and they say, well, this person couldn't have played in that era and that person could have played in that. No, I don't think that's it. I just think, you know, I mean, certain guys are physical guys. Some guys are finesse guys. And that's, you know, I think there are guys now that could play in the league when I played. You know, I think Kevin Durant could play. I think LeBron could have played. I think, you know, there are guys that are playing now that could have stepped in, maybe not as efficient, but they could have played.
Yeah, because to me, it's just like it makes the sport so interesting. I mean, because I loved it. Like, I've watched several documentaries. I've watched Last Dance. I've watched Winning Times. And I love where it was so downright in the trenches and gritty to where, like, you were fighting, like you had a rival there. Like, you respected each other as a player in person, but it was like, man, we got to fight for, you know, those points. We got to fight for, like, the time, because it's you against time at the end of the day. So I think about this and talking about this parity thing, because we're starting to see this shift. And there was a time I kind of put Adam Silver a little bit up and on blast. I understand trying to make a parody of the league, but I'm all about players getting paid, but at the same time, like the player mobility, all this movement and such, where like no super teams even exist anymore. So now you're getting OKCs, you're getting Indianas, you're getting a lot of these other, you know, small market teams that are now starting to make a rise. And then I look at Orlando, they made some moves. A couple other teams have made some moves. Is this kind of putting the platform now where a lot of these small market teams, they're now kind of getting their shots and their opportunities to want to play with the big dogs?
I always thought that was the thing you should do. I always felt that way. I played when Milwaukee was a place that no one wanted to go to, and kind of still is. And you think about now we have OKC, and that's a place guys want to go to, but it's not a big market. You know, I think guys. Here's my thing, though, Jay. I think guys really like players want to control their future. Let me say this, because guys don't want to go to a place where they don't have nightlife. They don't want to. The weather's not good. I mean, guys are not. And free agency. Here's the thing. Me and my cousin was talking about this. Guys are re-signing with the clubs that they're with. You know, not only because they have the rights to the team. The team has the rights to them, so they can get the most money out of when they re-sign. But when you have a true free agent is not gonna go to a place where there's no sun, where they have a coach that's gonna run their ass to death. You know, they're not gonna go there like they're not going to the heat culture and stuff like that where you rent all day. And they're not doing that. They're gonna go where they can get the most opportunities off the court, where they can make more money, where they can, you know, say the coach is not a bruiser, where you work some amount of time, and also. You know, the weather and the tax situation. Guys are looking at that type of stuff now. I think, you know, it's getting harder and harder for some of the small market teams. And I know Mr. Silver wanted to kind of correct that.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is I even think about college play where guys are coming back another year up and in college with the NIL and the transfer portal. That's one thing that's really been kind of interesting and impacting some of these smaller market schools, because I mean, when you get Dukes and North Carolinas and a lot of these big programs that got a lot of money in their back pockets, I mean, it's kind of hard to really challenge it. My co-host actually, and it's a fun question, but he ended up asking about this. The possibility, and this is just hypothetical, but a possibility of an MJ LeBron matchup, who would you take and why?
Man, let me just, Jake, I'm enjoying myself on this show. I'm gonna just tell you this, man, and you know that you're I wouldn't call you. You call yourself a millennial? Would you say you're a millennial?
I actually kind of am, because I'm like right there. I was born in 95, so I'm about
you're a millennial.
Yeah.
So, you know, some of these millennials and Generation X guys, I understand it. You know, and God bless you for being such a great sports guy. And I love your knowledge. I know that. But let me just tell you this, man. And this is me. And you can put 10 guys who played the game up here. And they all are going to tell you, all of them, and I'll put $100 on it. They all will tell you, the Black Cat is the greatest to ever play. And it ain't even close, okay? Let me just say it again. He's the greatest to ever play, and it's not even close to anybody. This is not the shade LeBron. I love LeBron James. But Michael Jordan is on another level, man. It's not even close, brother. And I want you to, and I'm going to say Dr. J, Magic Johnson, all the greats. Mm-hmm. If you line us up, or not me, I'm not a great, but if you line everybody up, all of them will tell you the same. They all will. I guarantee you. He's quicker, he's faster, he's more hungrier, he's stronger, he's got more tenacity, he's a winner, and he's a dog. You understand me? He is a dog. He was, man, I played against him like a lot of times, and I'm just gonna tell you, there's nobody like him, okay? And I love Wilt Chamberlain. I love all the numbers that Wilt Chamberlain had. But Jake, nothing compares to this man. Do you understand that? I just want you to understand it. And you're gonna have millennials and people who love sports like yourself and who played it. I get it. You're gonna have your debates. It's fun to debate it. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But when you ask a person who actually played against him and who grew up watching him but then played against him a lot, man, it ain't even close, bro. I'm
man. When I think of nostalgia, I mean, here's the thing. I've got a Jordan jersey and everything, and the only reason of it is because I know being one of the greatest. I mean, being the greatest up on the court, but then even watching the film of Air. I mean, there was no bigger nostalgia market than when you signed with Jordan. It was just like, I couldn't even believe my own eyes. And I remember even just living the tail end and just kind of witnessing that. Because once, The Last Dance, I mean, it told you a lot about what his character, his charisma, and a lot of things that it was about. You can't replicate that anywhere else. The closest thing you probably could was maybe the late Kobe Bryant. I mean, Black Mama mentality.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing. But yeah, you had a story about this one?
I got a story to tell you, and I tell this story all the time. And if you ask Vernon, Mad Max, you ask him, you ask Stackhouse, you ask all of us, they'll tell you this story is true. So I think this was 96, maybe, the year I got traded. And we're sitting there, and this was before there was the internet. The internet was here, but it wasn't like it is now. So back then you had beat writers. We had a beat writer in Philly named Phil Jasner. I remember the name, Phil Jasner from Philly. He's like historically he's one of the best to ever do it. So he's like, the whole North Carolina thing, and I'm an ACC guy. I'm an ACC guy from Clemson, so I know. So he comes in and he's like, okay, like Jerry Stackhouse, like Jerry, like who, I mean, I love Stack. And he says, Stack, I heard that you and Michael, y'all play sometimes at Carolina back, whatever. So Vernon Vernon's like, hey man, we don't care about Michael and Scotty. They put their shoes on just like the way we do. And I started thinking like, well, Michael Jordan don't put his shoes on the way we do. I mean, he's different. And anyway, Phil Jasner goes and tells Michael, man, as soon as we start the game, I'm a starter at that time. We pull off. Michael's talking a whole bunch of shit. Oh man, he's just and Jerry, being a competitor that Jerry's a competitor too. So Jerry going right back at him, talking shit, whatever. And so, man, Michael goes off for he goes off for I think it was like 48. And then we were in the top of the third quarter when Phil took him out of the game. He could have had 70. And all of them were, Jerry was a very good defender. Jerry Stackhouse, his rookie year, Jerry was a really good defender. And that was nothing he could do. That was nothing Jerry could do. And Jerry limited him, but it was just like, he was like, that you reach, I teach, all that. I just heard him. And he was putting him, and Phil was putting him on an island. Back then, it was illegal defense back in the day. So you had to guard people. It's not like now you can zone up. Now, it wasn't no zone. You had to guard your guy back then, or it would be illegal defense. Man, he scored 48, and we had, 10 minutes to go in the third. If he left him in the game, he'd have had 70 or 80. And it was all just like, he was just, don't you ever disrespect me. Not, don't you ever say this. It's like for the whole team. He's like, it wasn't a Jerry. It was just like, he just did it to everybody. It was just unbelievable. I'd never seen anything like it. Especially with the way Jerry was. Jerry was was excellent player. And he just did it. Everybody that got switched off on him, you got it. It's just, so.
Yeah, no, that I remember the days of Jerry Stackhouse, man. And that's insane though. But that does tell you a lot about just
tells you everything.
His game, his craft, and just when he gets right there up and in your head, man, there's just no stopping it. You're just along for the ride.
No stopping. None. No. Bobby Knight said, not to interrupt you, Jake. Bobby Knight said that there's Michael Jordan and there's everybody else. He's the greatest player to ever touch a ball. And it's like, and Bobby Knight he didn't give compliments. He never did. But he coached him on the Olympic team in '84. And he was like, there's no way. He was like, this guy is the greatest to ever play right now. And Jordan hadn't played an NBA game yet at that point.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna tell you, man. I was in the Central, when we were, I was with the Philly. I was when we changed conferences, and it was just like, man, I just never seen anything like it. He was just unbelievable, Jake.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's an absolute honor to have you here on the show, brother. Sharing your expertise, man. By the way, we talked about it a couple days ago, and I know you being a Clemson alumni, Clemson LSU this weekend.
2 more
How
days,
we
baby.
feeling?
2 more days, baby. 2 more days, and we gonna kick that ass.
Oh man, Garrett Nussmeier against Cade Klubnik. I'm all for it, man. Oh my God.
Hey, Nussmeier. Hey, Jake. Nussmeier's got a good team.
He does.
We have Peter Woods. We have T.J. Parker. We got the best wide receiver room in the country, and I think we got a new defensive coordinator. We got 5 NFL receivers right now, And man, let me tell you, our defense, we got 3 NFL corners on that team. We're stacked, man. We're stacked.
Oh man, Clemson's about to make some noise this year, man.
I think we win it all this year, Jake. Mark my words.
All right. There we go. For all the Clemson Tiger fans up out there, let's hear y'all. Appreciate you for coming on by here, Sharone. Take care of yourself and go Tigers here in this game.
My man, Jake, hit me up, man, anytime.
Absolutely.
Because I'm a big football fan, too. And have me on, man. I'll come in and give you my picks.
Love it, man. Hey, you know what? May end up having you anytime that we do like our prime predictions. That'd be awesome. Because I do it every year. Yeah.
Let's do it. I got a whole bunch of picks. It's better that than my DraftKings. So I don't want to do that. I'd rather do
this. Sweet. I'll definitely give you some info on it, man. Thank you.
All right, brother. Be easy. Right. God bless you.
God bless you, man. There you go. What do you think, Chase? Listen. Aside from you being in Columbus in the shoe against Texas, that LSU and Clemson game, woo-wee.
Isn't Garrett Nussmeier? Didn't he tear his ACL?
I don't think so. I think he's okay.
Because like I heard reports a while back saying that they feared he might have tore his ACL.
No, I think he's ready to go. I remember they announced that he ended up switching his jersey number from 13 to 18. So he's going to end up, he's going to be ready to play. So
I mean, shit, we'll see what happens, man. I'm excited for, this weekend, college football starting, and then the following weekend, NFL. You've got your Chargers and Chiefs on that Friday night in Brazil. And everything. The Chargers are going to start off the season 0-1, so it'll be a bummer for you. So,
well, hey, either I'm going to have a good weekend or I'm going to have a good weekend. Either way, because look, last weekend in week 0, I mean, I was 1 for 2, and I'll explain a little bit about that game early on with Iowa State and Kansas State because I told people take the points. I just got the over/under wrong. Like it ended up 45, and I took the over on 50.5. If only it got to 52, 53, we would have been in business. But
I mean, that is true. It's crazy to think that we're just 1 week away from the NFL season starting.
And you know what? With college starting up, like that's the perfect way to lead the way for NFL.
I know. It's amazing because not only do you have football on Thursday night, you have it on Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday.
That's right. So that means our partners are going to be busy all through their sports books now. So we're for sure. Yeah, we're back up.
And when he was talking about the LeBron and MJ, like I'm so glad that he was the one, like one of the people that agreed that MJ was the best because.
Well, you know what? When you're playing on the same court as he is, like how could you rebuttal that?
Yeah.
How can you even have a debate? Mm-hmm. Like it's just like his aura, the icon, like again, when he came back in 95, okay, like that was very pivotal into being the last shot, the last dance for them to go get titles. And eventually, Gar Forman and all of them, they were going to rip this thing up. So,
I mean, Shaq said it best. The only guy that ever had the same aura, the same mentality, the same play style as what MJ had was Kobe.
Yes.
And he was saying that the reason why is because Kobe sat down and watched MJ's film and modeled his game after MJ.
And Kobe, here's the thing. He did not hesitate on some shots. He was going to take as many as he possibly could because those are some of those shots you'll never end up attempting again. That's why it was like, when you think about it, I don't think we'll ever have a recreated version of that ever again because it's so skill-based now. Yeah. And so every player, even with these international leagues, like it's completely different. It's completely changed the whole it's completely changed the playing field because now it's all skill-based. I mean, yeah, guys are going to get defensive, but look, I'm glad that we got hand checks back. NBA is interesting when it's a little physical now. It's really, really interesting, but we'll get into all of that. Coming up next, so the 2 signings are done. Now we got to talk about the Micah Parsons latest situation because will the deal get done? I wouldn't be surprised if it's getting done at the tail end, because you remember how Dak Prescott got the same exact thing. And so I don't know how they're going to carry this all up. That's coming up next. And we're going to be talking about the previous college football season. And we're also going to have our finalized division winners, playoff spots for the AFC and the NFC. Chase and I will be breaking that down here up and onto the show. Well, with the season already underway in college football and the season about to begin in the NFL, things that I told my wife before, next months are the 56 months of the season, because the NFL is back, and no better way, and even with college football, no better way to get you geared up for the season than checking out our partners at BetUS, because their award-winning sportsbook for over 30 years is back. Jake's Prime Predictions is back. It's another season.
And Jake's going to be a father. Just make sure you send all of your Raiders, Chiefs, and Broncos jerseys to his place.
So we have it all there for you guys. Also, daily fantasy picks as well. Pick your players. Win these contests, because you know what? There's contests going on every day, every week throughout the season. We still got Major League Baseball action going on before the postseason. And then college football, of course, too. Check out BetUS for yourself. When you sign up, you get your very own account manager to give you some insights and analysis of what's going on in the sports book and what they're telling you. A lot of really good, smart people there in the building. Also, when you sign up, $50 or more into your deposit, that then in the first 3 deposits gets you guaranteed to win up to $2,000 in earnings in all of these contests, no matter what it is, as a way of getting you jump started for the NFL season with BetUS.com. Link is in the description and also on our website at BetUS.com, where the NFL and college football season starts here.
Want to find your seat for the event of your choice but can't get one that fits your desire or your budget? Well, my friends, SeatGeek has you covered. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show. With a list of over hundreds of events to choose from, SeatGeek will assure you that you won't miss your seat with the amazing view of your choice at the most affordable price. Whether it's looking for your best seat in the house of your favorite sports team, finding live concerts that get you closer to your favorite artist, or enjoying your spot at your favorite live shows, comedies, and more, SeatGeek has it all just for you. Go online to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. And as a special offer before checkout, use promo code SNAKESPORTS and save yourself $20 off of your purchase of your first ticket, and experience why SeatGeek is the most trusted ticketing app for your next event. Remember, that's SeatGeek.com, and download the app on your phone with promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off and find your seat with SeatGeek.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
So this season, as you know, is ready to be up and underway. We've already gotten through our roster cuts and also going through a lot of our practice squad shape-ups for the 53-man roster. So a lot of them, they've shaped up their 53-man roster. So 2 contracts have already been negotiated and done. We know that Trey Hendrickson getting his raise, settled the deal. He's back up at camp. And then Terry McLaurin got his much-needed contract extension and also got his pay raise as well. So now that leaves the question, once again, about Micah Parsons. Well, here's the thing. Jerry Jones, his documentary is now out. He's talking up in the media. Like Chase has also heard this before when I've said it on the program. Life is not a coincidence, okay? Everything happens for a reason, and stuff shows up before you even know it. Don't know it. You don't believe it. You can even ask my wife. She's probably the biggest conspirator I know in my life. Okay. And she's seen a lot, researched a lot, very much skeptical on a lot of things. And I started to take note of it. I don't get too deep into it, but I understand it because you gotta have to have a balance of it. As long as you do your research, as long as you have the logistics to back up your argument. So with Micah Parsons' situation, here's the thing. Many teams have inquired, and Jerry Jones, he's just kind of sitting there waiting. And Micah, the thing about Micah is that he wants more guaranteed money to be the highest paid, edge rusher. That's what Jerry Jones was willing to make him, and then Micah turned it down. Micah wants to win, and Micah wants to end up getting exactly his respected pay, like a lot of other players do. I cannot dispute this. But the thing about it is, if he walks out the building, my sources have been telling me that Donovan Ezaraku, that one edge rusher out of Boston College, he looks fantastic in camp. And what I've told a lot of people, Dallas fans, if you're prepared for that, really, if you are prepared to let Micah walk and you're going to leave it up to a second round edge rusher in Donovan Ezaraku, then strap yourselves in and enjoy the ride, because he's a very good edge rusher. I've heard a lot of people up and into the East Coast area, they said he's great. But the thing about it is, it's so hard to gamble it because he's a rookie, like everything else. But he gives you pressures, can stop the run. So that's the one thing. But we know that this is not going to realistically happen, because what did Jerry do? And this is where Chase gets bothered by this. What happened before the game against the Cleveland Browns? Dak got his contract. Roll out the red carpet. It's time to play cowboy football. That's just who Jerry is. And by the way, this is not a coincidence either, because when the documentary's out, Micah's talking on his podcast, Jerry is up and on radio and television broadcast. Don't you know all of those things equal cha-ching incentives? They do. And that's what's contributing to this contract. The more the Cowboys are talked about in every major network, and even in Netflix, who, by the way, multi-billion-dollar company, Netflix, these guys are going to be paying them out. And Dallas is big money. So Micah's going to get paid. I would not be surprised if they end up rolling out the red carpet and then he's paid big bucks and it's time to play football. It's typical of the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones. And the more that Jerry speaks in, the more he ends up reminiscing on a lot of just the stuff he could have done. He could have bought the Chargers. He could have done all this. All it is just to distract the American eyes and the ears, so that way you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And that's what's going to happen. He's going to get paid. So feast your eyes on the contract by the time that it's rolled out. Let's get to Chase with the news.
And now, here we go. Hey everyone, it's story time. This is the Hot Press.
Oh, man, we've had a lot of storylines, but like I said, life is no coincidence. Stuff happens for a reason. People make choices, and that's why I'm like, it's going to be interesting to watch this with Micah Parsons. So,
it is. And, there's been the reports come out that the Packers have offered the best trade package for Micah Parsons, and Jerry Jones shut that down. And the fact that I don't understand why. You had a chance to get 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and a defensive player, and you turned down the offer. It's just like, why? You have a chance to build, to not only save money, but to build your team even better, in a better position with 2 first-round picks and a second-rounder than what you could have with just 1.
And that could have been the closest thing since Herschel Walker. It really, really could have. And listen, everybody will tell you, strike when the iron's hot, because you're never going to get an opportunity like that again. So that's why I'm like, you know what? Now at this point, you're better off to pay him. Because at this point, the offer is pretty much expired.
Oh, and the Packers were willing to offer him $45 million a year too. So like that's crazy.
Yes, because and listen, you're going to be surprised by how I have my refined division and wild card teams, because there's going to be some surprises there. There's going to be some eyebrows raising up. So just be prepared for that, because there's a reason for everything.
I bet. So there is one player from the 2025 NFL draft that has yet to be signed by their NFL team that drafted him. That is the running back chosen in the second round by the Cleveland Browns, Quinshon Judkins. And yes, he was facing a lot of legal ramifications and everything, but a lot of people are wondering, like, you were able to sign Isaiah Bond, realizing that his charges were dropped. Why couldn't you do the same thing with Quinshon Judkins? Well, according to Joe Thomas and a bunch of other Browns sources that's going on in there, is Quinshon has agreed to the money and the terms and everything. His agent is just trying to fight for some more guaranteed money and some more money long term, so that way, he could be settled and like go after the contract's up and be like, well, look, I was able to get this for him and everything. So from what I'm hearing, it's more on the agent side of things than what it is on Quinshon himself.
Well, I'll tell you what, I started up my fantasy football league that I've been a part of for the last couple of years, and it's a paid league. And I did end up letting my commissioner know, hey, so I'm gonna ask you, because my keeper was Jerome Ford. I declined keeping him. Quinshon Judkins playing, because here's the thing. I love what the kid does. And after watching Travion Henderson in New England, does he look like an absolute fantasy steal right now. That's where I'm like, knowing Vrabel, he's going to run the football. He's going to get physical. He's going to add speed. Yep. So that's why I'm like, with Quinshon Judkins, I could get at least a little of the mirroring same. But even with Dylan Sampson, the kid out of Tennessee, you're going to add some burst of speed in there.
But he's their starter right now. He is their starter. Jerome Ford is their backup currently until they can get Quinshon signed. And then once Quinshon is signed, they're going to get him up to speed as quick as they can. And then they hope by week 1 he is signed, but then they hope by week 3 or 4 he's on the field as their starting back, because it was going to be him as their starter and then Dylan Sampson coming in as that like more speed / dynamic shifty back, while Quinshon is going to be the power back.
All right. I'll keep an eye out on that, because again, I'm needing a real good running back for my squad. I'm really hoping to take it all this year.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a thing to look out for there and go from there. But staying on the topic of the Cleveland Browns, I don't know if you or anybody else has stayed up on the topics of what the Browns are doing. Is they got their stadium plans denied for their new stadium because their roof was 58 feet higher than what was expected, and so they could not start building their new stadium until they had a revised plan for what they wanted to do for the length of the roof for when all of the planes come in there. And as of right now, a lot of people are, getting their conspiracy theory hats on, saying that the mayor of Cleveland had something to do with this.
Of course he did. My big thing is like, look, doesn't any of you guys go through OSHA protocols, like any of this? Because it's important. I mean, you go through fire codes, you go through a lot of all of like just the construction codes, like they exist. Okay, this is not make believe. But that's what I'm saying. When it comes to conspirators like that, it's hard for me to believe it when I know that there's codes involved. Okay, there's all sorts of different measurements. There's all sorts of different plans in place to make it smooth and a great process. It's not like, it's not like basically saying that like in the next 5 years or so, some financially it's going to be a big old boom. And I'm like, well, how? Because we got all these other pyramid schemes that are all around us. How is that even believable? So there's so much of that I can take seriously. And then some of it that I'm just like, yeah, okay. I've worked around people who do these inspections. Okay?
Well, a lot of people are pissed because they're like, you had this already approved weeks and months ago. Why is it, why are they facing this issue now? So
well, and you know what? I've actually gone through something like this on a blueprint. I won't disclose too much information, but it's a percentage process. So what it does is, because like we've gone through 3 to 4 phases until we hit 100%, where it's 100% ground build, it's 100% like it's happening. But a lot of those phases is probably because they were close to the 100% from what it seemed like. And then somebody was like, no, wait, we got to back this up because there's something else that came up here. That's what it is. It's just there was an inspection, somebody found something, they needed to come back into the table. That's all it is. Like, if you got to revise this and go back on the blueprints, figure it out. I mean, it's not to say that it won't happen, but sometimes you're better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah. And for all you baseball fans, this is some good news for, especially people that want to watch baseball in their city and stuff. Rob Manfred has devised a plan to split up the divisions and rearrange them by 2029, because by the time the A's move to Vegas in 2027, he wants to have 2 new expansion teams by 2028 or 2029. And the 2 positions and 2 cities that have, put in bids for teams right now is Salt Lake City and Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And as of right now, he is going to have the revised plan to make the divisions 4 teams each and move some of the National League teams into the American League. The Nets going to the American League, the Nationals going to the American League, and swapping the divisions. He wants to get rid of the interleague play and make it to where he cuts down on travel, so you don't have to go have Cleveland go all the way out to LA to play, or you don't have to have Baltimore or Boston go all the way out to Vegas and San Francisco and everything. He wants to try to limit the travel time of that. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I thought it was I really thought it was interesting, because even I was talking about like the NFL with the NFL's potential realignment, because it was something that because eventually, listen, Utah's getting on the map. Okay. I mean, they've had the Jazz for a long time. Now you're going to see the Utah Mammoths. So eventually, when the financial stuff starts to get bigger and better, because I've seen it's growing in St. George and the Cedar City area, and Salt Lake City is a beautiful spot. And it's much like the climates of Colorado. So to me, Major League Baseball, and we know just how this stuff is going to end up turning out and working out. I think it's interesting. I'm definitely for it, for the the entire realignment, because then it really helps out a lot of the regions, travel time. But to me, it's more of the scheduling part that I'm like, let's get more rivalries, let's get more interleagues, let's get more TV popping games on, because that's where you're going to find a lot of your viewership. So if you get more of those up and on there, and even if that means that you got to end up cutting up some of the games every year, then only that may work. But yeah, Salt Lake is a very great place. I love camping up out there in Utah, and even for Nashville, they've been talking about this for a long time, because amongst the sounds and the seats they've generated in that stadium, and by the way, did you see the news now that next year, by June 8th through the 14th, that the A's are going to be playing in Aviators Park now?
I have.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's crazy. And like I agree with you. Like Salt Lake City, if they can get this baseball team in Utah, that'll be 3 out of the 4 major sports that have a professional team there. I wouldn't be shocked when the NFL expands if they have one that goes there.
Yeah, because
I'm telling you, make it purple and green, name it the Utah Vipers and everything, and then have the snake go down the helmet right there.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's what's interesting, because I could see them realigning with the West. And what's hard about this is, what do we do about the Kansas City Chiefs? They're smack dab in the middle of the region, between the North and South. And you know what I feel like? I feel like they would be pretty good in the South. Get more competition in the South. Because outside of the Texans, like the Jags, dumpster fire. The Titans, they might be interesting. And the Colts, they haven't even found their starting quarterback since Andrew Luck.
So somebody ended up sharing this screenshot with me, and with the possibility of the division realignments and everything, because another team that has put in a bid that has been very close to being accepted is Portland. And Portland for baseball, if they do it, they're going to go with 4 teams with 3 division each, and now you're going to have, instead of like a NL Central, an AL Central, and then an AL West and East, you're going to have a Midwest, a Central, a Southwest, and a Northwest. And in the Northwest, you're going to have the Mariners, A's, Giants, and then the Portland team all in the National League. And then you're in the American League Southeast, you're going to have Atlanta, Miami, Tampa, and the new the new expansion team over in Nashville or Charlotte, from what I've also been hearing too. So whichever one that they accept or whichever one that they choose, those are the options and stuff of, the 4 locations that they've got for MLB team bids is Charlotte, Portland, Nashville, and Salt Lake City. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, and it'll be interesting to see what goes on. But, that is pretty much the news in the nutshell. We lost Jake for a second. I don't know what is going on here, but there you go. We are back.
Technical difficulties we've had here, but we're getting everything powered back on.
Yeah, so I would be all for it, and I would enjoy seeing a new MLB team and new expansion teams. I mean, I know people are kind of like upset with expansion teams or like don't want to see that, but like we would not have the NFL teams that we do today without expansion teams.
I agree. All right, Chase with the news.
And now, here we go. Hey everyone, it's story time. This is the Hot Press.
All right, well, we finally have come to this point now, and I'm super stoked and excited about it. Seem to be getting some sort of technical difficulty with this thing, and I do not understand why.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I was like, what in the world? Let's see. This thing should be. Let's see. It's a whole new set now, and but I love this. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that did the job. Good Lord. Okay. So I've already gone through this, and I've even had some feedbacks behind it. But it's official. This is my new revised NFL, AFC, NFC predictions for both, for all the divisions. So I'm really am curious how this is going to end up looking like, because to me, I really do think that this is going to really speak some volumes. So, all right, let's start here with the AFC East. All right, so I'm getting some music up and on here. Jeez, this is what happens when stuff doesn't seem to go right. Thank good God. Okay, hold up. Why is my communication going off like this?
You know what also upsets me? The fact that Ohio State is ranked 3rd in the college football rankings when they had just won a national championship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm just like, are you kidding me? You win a natty and you're still ranked 3rd in the nation? Like, that's pathetic.
Yeah.
How many years in a row did they have Alabama ranked number 1 or Georgia ranked number 1 because they won a national championship?
It really is interesting. Yeah.
Like, that just irks me. Like, I know, like, everybody's just like, why are you making such a big deal about this? I'm like, well, have you noticed how Ohio State gets shafted out of everything?
Yeah.
Like, they get shafted because they get punished harder than what Michigan does for a crime that's far less more impactful than what Michigan did. And then, not to mention that we don't get a lot of respect in terms of the national media and everything. It's pathetic.
Yeah, it really, really is. So, all right. So here we go. Let's go to the AFC East. So to me, it's obvious. I've still got the division winners, the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. I mean, the team has definitely doubled down on a lot of their players. This is their team. This is the team to make some noise in the AFC. Like, this is their chance to do so. Because if they don't get it done, lots of people have agreed to this. I think Sean McDermott, truthfully, is the modern-day Marty Schottenheimer. Because he has a very good defense, but tends to get defensive at times where it matters. You cannot be like this. And so with Josh Allen, it will be difficult to really kind of understand this, but I do like with what they've got. It's no question, in my opinion, with just where this is going in the East. The New England Patriots, however, this is the surprise team. I trust Mike Vrabel. This is a team that's ready to ground and pound. And to me, they also got a star-studded offensive tackle that I really like in Will Campbell. And Drake May in another season, I think he's going to have a pretty good one. It won't be great, but it's good enough where this team's got to punch the ticket into the playoffs. Miami just looks like they're going to be a mess. I don't trust with the fact that once Teron Armstead retired and the left tackle position is now open, I don't trust that. You got to protect Tua at all costs. They're all about speed. They are the Lamborghini of the East, but they are not prepared for the grinding months where you got to be durable. Okay? When you're up there in the cold, they're not used to that. The Jets are going to be my best worst team this year because this is going to be a fun 7-10, potentially 8-9 team. And the only reason of that is, Chase, you can't deny, top to bottom on this roster looks so talented. We just don't know the quarterback of Justin Fields. But with Aaron Glenn, it could be pretty interesting. So I've got the Jets finishing last, but that's a fun team there. Let's go to the AFC North now. So the Baltimore Ravens, I have them winning this division because, I mean, let's face it, those deals in the draft between Mike Green and Malachi Starks, how do you even let that happen? That is by far highway robbery, but they are such a well-ran organization.
How do you let Kyle Hamilton fall to you?
That's what I'm saying. It's no coincidence to me. So the Bengals do get better, but they just missed the playoffs here because all this is proving is that, like, the defense is not completely solidified yet. I don't even know what their defensive front is going to be. The secondary is better. But the problem is that a lot of teams are running the football and they're getting efficient up and at it, and then
it's just going to be Stewart Hendrickson up there because, like, I can't think of their interior guys at the moment. So
no, neither can I. That's why that I'm like that defensive front, like Trey Hendrickson. Okay, go ahead and give him a pay raise, but he's the modern day Mark Gastineau. He's just giving you sacks. He's not defending the run. That's why I'm like, with this, he got his money's worth, but they're not going to give him a long-term deal, and I understand why. The Steelers, let's face it, this team's missing the playoffs. I don't trust this chemistry. And at the same time, like Aaron Rodgers, by the way, I'm not saying he needed to play that preseason, but he ain't been around to build camaraderie and chemistry with this offense. He really hasn't. He's just been a man on his island, and depending on how him and DK Metcalf really, really are going to handle things together, I don't see this working out. And the Cleveland Browns, by the way, I have Cleveland last, but Shador will play. Okay, and this is where you're going to find out who your franchise quarterback really is.
He's the third QB on the depth chart. How is he going to play?
Well, when you're Jimmy Haslam and you're putting a lot of pressure on Kevin Stefanski, you're not going to have a choice. Okay,
I mean, he even came out and said he did not like pick Shador. It was Andrew Berry that did. So I would sit there and argue that Jimmy has no say in this because it was not the guy that he wanted to pick and not the guy that he chose. So, I mean, I do agree with you. I think Shedeur will play and everything, but like it's probably going to be after Gabriel starts 3 or 4 games to see what he's capable of. But the order I had with this was the Bengals, Ravens, Browns, Steelers.
Yeah, and like I said, this team it's going to be fun to watch. By the way, I don't care what happens, but it to me, I just know Shedeur is going to play at some point because knowing Jimmy Haslam, he's going to make that happen. So that's what I got in the North. Let's go to the AFC South. It's clear the Houston Texans are winning this division. Okay, I'm not moving away from this. But the Titans, by the way.
Interesting.
Listen, the Titans were very good at defense, which is why that I kind of trust with what they're doing up from there. And they got Cam Ward. They got a couple of pieces I do like. Cam Ward and Calvin Ridley, they've been very close and tight. Like, this chemistry is going to look very scary. The Colts, look, they just are going through this. They're going through this curse, dude. I mean, as much as I say this about Daniel Jones, where we've seen his tenure with the Giants, Shane Steichen's just got to make this work, man. I mean, Anthony Richardson, let's face it, I don't think this relationship is strong. I really, really wish that he stayed another year in college, which, by the way, PSA to DJ Lagway. Take another year if you need to, because look at Anthony Richardson, a fellow Florida alumni. Because you think this is easy? Oh, no. I think college is easier than that. When you got the NIL and transfer portal, nowhere close to the NFL, okay? And Jacksonville, that first round, Travis Hunter, he better be worth trading away a first-round pick to Cleveland, okay? This is why you're a top 10 drafted team every year. So I don't trust the Jags. I just don't know really what to make of them, but hopefully they'll clean their act up. So Texans, Titans, Colts, and Jags. Let's go to the AFC West now. This is what really got everybody shook up, is that, yes, I'm standing on business. I am not playing around. You know what Jim Harbaugh said today?
Bias.
No. This is what Jim Harbaugh said. You know what he said about Justin Herbert not winning a playoff game? He said, we are going for the Super Bowl. Okay, that's the goal. We're going to do it or die trying.
We're going for the Super Bowl.
They're going to do it and die trying. And listen, did you watch Nick Wright and all of them? They do not even have the Chargers. Yeah, they don't even have the Chargers in their playoff picture. And I said, you all keep doing this, and you still, after a year, you don't know Jim Harbaugh.
I think they'll make the playoffs, but to have them winning the division, this is the Chiefs division until Patrick Mahomes retires.
But the Chiefs are gonna be tested this year because Rashee Rice is out until week 7 with that suspension now.
Oh, and he
is officially suspended. Yes, he got 6 games slapped on the wrist. He is officially suspended. And the Denver Broncos, look, they went double down on defense. I love what they're doing. And they are still a playoff team, in my opinion. Borderline.
The Chiefs have Jalen Royal, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown.
But you know what, though? I mean, why do we call it the NFL? Why does it stand for not for long? It happens to everybody.
It didn't happen to the Patriots.
Listen, the Patriots, but the difference is that the Patriots their division was not like this division. Okay, they were not. How many coaches and quarterbacks had that whole division gone on since Brady Lane?
When McDermott and Allen were there, like Brady and them were having a battle, but it's the same thing with Herbert and Mahomes.
But this division has only had changes for some coaches only in a 10-year window outside of the Raiders. Because the Raiders can't figure out coach, and they couldn't figure out quarterback, and now they bring in Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. Which, by the way, the Raiders finished last because the Jacoby Myers story, they get rid of Christian Wilkins. I love Max Crosby. I really, really do. But this is why you hire Pete Carroll, is because you're trying to build consistency and structure in this organization. So that's the West. Let's go to the East. Okay, let's go to the NFC East. It still remains the same with me. I think Philly breaks that 20-year deal in the East, and they go back-to-back on this. It's just so difficult. Did you see all the moves they made? They kept making small little deals because that's what Howie Roseman does. He's a wizard. But by the way, Washington, after getting a deal done with Terry McLaurin, now they are a playoff team, okay? If you didn't have Terry on this roster, I would have said, whoops, trouble.
They also have Debo.
Yeah, they did, but they did add Debo. But the thing is, you're not going to rely on Debo to be your one. Okay, that's not happening. So now with Terry McLaurin there, this team will be a playoff team still. Dallas will be better improved, but there still are some things they need to figure out. And the Giants, by the way, the Giants are actually my worst team this year. Because watching Jackson Dart and what he did in the preseason, Case, how do you not get excited for that for once in New York? Okay, the Giants got a little something here. And when you know how many people thought Jackson Dart was a reach, Jackson Dart's going to be a bust. What do you think they said the same thing about Josh Allen when he came into the league? Highly accurate, makes too many mistakes out of Wyoming. You all didn't even watch Wyoming, okay? So stop that. So, but when you get a coach, an NFL collegiate winning coach in Brian Dable, that is what's going to help your mistakes, because everybody knows how Lane Kiffin's offense was in Ole Miss. It tends to make mistakes. Jackson Dart looks good. Like he's going to be really interesting to watch. So that's the East. Let's go to the North. I'm standing on business with this because people that keep telling me they ain't got no quarterback, his name is J.J. McCarthy. And by the way, they just added Adam Thielen until Jordan Addison arrived. So I got Thielen, Addison, Jefferson, Hawkinson, a dual running back set, and they added 2 offensive linemen. How does this not become a division-winning team? They're not going to win 14 games like last year, but this will be a competent team. Green Bay will finish second, but Chase, what scares me the most is not their offense. It's that defensive secondary outside of Xavier McKinney. Who am I trusting at these corners? Because you're trying to get a pass rush up and in there next to Rashawn Gary, and it's all going to come down to health at this point and consistency. Because when I watched that viral video of their secondaries and corners, I was like,
I think you're sleeping on the Bears. Like, after watching them during preseason?
Yes, but I thought the Packers, in my opinion, would have won this division. But after seeing that, I don't know, Chase. I'm having second thoughts. Detroit will end up being a third-place team. I see them missing the playoffs. I think the coaches and the coordinators are really going to hurt them than they think.
Yeah.
And then the Bears, listen, the Bears don't make the playoffs, but don't put your head down. The whole point is you're trying to build culture and consistency first with Ben Johnson. So give it time with this, with Caleb Williams. Because
I always say that a coach that comes in and takes you to the playoffs right away, the very first year, screws up the expectations, because now you're expecting that team to make it every single year, or at least come close to it and everything. And then when they have a down year, you're looking at them as like, well, this coach was able to do this year. Why couldn't they do it the next year and everything? And it's just like, I would much rather have a brand new coach come in and lose 6 or 7 games, or win 6 or 7 games his first season, and then come out the next year and win 10 or 11.
I agree. Let's go to the NFC South now. So this is actually a pretty interesting one, which people were this is not bad at all, because honestly, Tampa Bay, they've been winning this division. They got heavy on offensive weaponry.
Even on Carolina, but I understand why you have them there.
Yeah, because this is the thing. Atlanta, for many people that don't know, I am very high on J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix. These are 2 quarterbacks that are literally lined up to where they're going to be the best versions of themselves, and this is technically their rookie year, because Michael Penix, watching his pocket awareness for a lefty is just outrageous. It's so good. And by the way, Darnell Mooney was an absolute steal for free agency with their offensive weaponry, and the dual-headed with Tyler Algier and with Bijan Robinson. I expect the Falcons, even when they ended up going double down on their edge rushers, this will be a much better team, and with an NFC that's kind of wide open for wild card spots, that Falcons team might actually make it this year. Carolina, they're going to be better, I think they did find their franchise quarterback with Bryce Young. Even if they win 8 games, okay, that's going to build momentum to then go and make the playoffs the next year. And the Saints, can we just say it's a tire fire at this point? The Saints are just, I don't even need to go more into depth. Let's go to the last division here, the NFC West. This is actually pretty interesting. So I still have the Rams here in this one, but I do kind of take one more game away from them because this is going to be very competitive. Stafford's going to be fine. I think they're still got a shot at this. And knowing Sean McVay, he knows how to figure out offense more than anybody else up and into this division. The Seahawks, however, that Seahawks team, keep an eye out on them because they got some very good defensive players. Mike McDonald, his identity is showing for itself. And they're going to run the football hefty. Zach Charbonnet looked really good in preseason. So between K9 and him, those are some pretty good fantasy steals. And with JSN and a couple other really good receivers, I see Seattle be a sneaky wild card team. San Francisco, this is what really kills them is I just don't trust that weight of the bag for Brock Purdy. And at the same time, there should be no reason why you let 12 players go. I get the whole reloading part, but they all went defense. And you want to know why, Chase? Because they had no other better DC to figure this out than Robert Saleh. That's why you hired him. You know you were going to be dead in the water, dead to rights, until you ended up signing him. Because that's your saving grace. So that's why, like San Francisco, if they miss the playoffs this year, this is going to be a complete, you're going to have to rejuvenate this roster. And then finally, the Cardinals. Cardinals defensively, it looks so good right now that they might actually could sneak up a couple wins. They are a team that I expect them could shock some people. So there you have it up from there. So let's go to all of our conferences. So this is what I have. Bills retain the 1 seed. Ravens at 2. Chargers at 3. Houston at 4. And then it's Kansas City, Denver, and New England in the AFC. That's how I have that shape. And the NFC, I got the Eagles, the Rams, the Vikings, the Bucks, and Commanders, Seahawks, and Falcons. That's what that looks like here up and into the NFC. So there you go.
Not bad.
My fully refined division picks. I'm excited about all of them. But again, as much as I like Green Bay, consistency matters, which is why that I'm like, if you didn't show me that viral video of your secondary with corners that looked like that, you would have won the division. And I would have put Minnesota there too. But
I do think the Bears are going to be a lot better than what people think because after seeing them in preseason and like how their defense was, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, I do too because Detroit is probably going to be in the window of 9 wins. And that's why I'm like, even if Chicago wins 8, okay, what did they finish with last year? 4-13?
Chicago? No, they finished, I think, 6 games.
Okay, so they won 6 games. So they won 6
or 7, yeah.
Okay. I have them winning 2 more because the thing is because it's all about building momentum and consistency. That's what you're trying to get. That's why you hire Ben Johnson. He's coming up with all these trickery plays. And now, granted, I don't want him to get cute, but I want him to be able to build consistency with his roster. So, and that's important. I don't know about you, but that's the kind of stuff that really determines how much people can take you seriously of an organization. It's really true. But yeah, interesting. By the way, I just saw the Commanders ended up signing Donovan Edwards.
Yeah.
They're giving him an opportunity. Good, hefty running back.
We'll see. Like he had a big, bold claim saying that he's going to be the best running back in the league. So we'll see.
Yeah. And by the way, the Dolphins unleashing their black uniforms. Enjoy the Lambo. Yeah. Speedster team in the NFL. I can't believe
their secondary is probably the worst in the league because they've had so many injuries. But not only that, like
they just are not tough, dude. Okay, you can't put BFG all-terrain tires on a Lambo. Okay, they're not built like that.
You can't put tank treads on a Lamborghini.
No, I would rather be that hefty GMC Sierra 2500 AT4 dad with all-terrain tires. Not saying that the sports cars aren't great, but they're seasonal. They're seasonal for a reason. That's why all your parts get expensive. You ever think about that? So, yeah.
They're basically a snowmobile in the summertime.
Yeah, that's all they are. I'm not even joking. Like that, I am not pivoting away from that. So, yeah. Yeah. This is what happens when we live in cold weather places. But by the way, shout out to Sharone Wright for coming on here to the show. Really loved his insights and loved his expertise. And of course, good to have you back because, yeah, the show it was not the same. Like I keep trying to hold down the fort. Okay, but
my new schedule is working, man. I love it because now, like, at least for the next 2 months, I'll be able to have Saturdays, Sundays off, and I'll be off in the second half of the day rather than working third shift. Working third shift was brutal, man. I don't like it.
Oh yeah, no, I bet. All right, we got to jump up out of here, guys. Appreciate everybody here for being up and onto the show, and you guys already know what it's about. Like and subscribe and follow everyone onto the show. And listen, we're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers right now up on YouTube. We're so close. We're almost at 1,000 on IG and X, so we are hitting the 1,000 before the season starts. All right, let's make it a goal, guys. Appreciate everybody for coming up and on here. Take care, and we'll see you guys on Friday. By the way, shows changed from Thursday to Friday this week. And giving our last final shots until next week, strap your seats in, Chase, because we're on it. We're in it now. New year of NFL Prime predictions. I'm excited for this one. Take care, everyone. We'll see y'all later.